Hello, I'm Dr. Jeffrey Long. I've spent more than 25 years studying near death experiences and listening to the voices of people who've been to the other side and come back to tell us about it. Here at the Near Death Experience Research Foundation, NDERF, in partnership with RC Media and Anthony Chain Production, we want to bring comfort to those who are facing death. Whether you are preparing for your own transition, caring for someone you love, or grieving a loss. This is the first video in a series that is meant to remind you that the end of life can be a sacred passage, not a fearful one. The stories we've collected are filled with peace, light, and a sense of love that continues. We hope these conversations bring reassurance and help you feel supported, uplifted, and less alone.
An understanding of life's end journey.
The circle of life is a concept that represents the cyclical nature of life, emphasizing the interconnectedness and continuous flow of existence. It suggests that life is a series of repeating patterns, where birth, growth, death, and renewal are all part of a much larger ongoing cycle. The idea is rooted in many cultures, religions, and philosophies, symbolizing how everything in life is interconnected and how each stage of life leads to the next in an unending loop. We here at the Near Death Experiences Research Foundation, or the NDERF, are truly sorry that your family faces the stress of a potentially terminal illness. We understand that the anxiety brought on by the process of dying may affect not only the patient, but their family and friends as well. It is the goal of this presentation to help alleviate this anxiety by presenting information based on research into this very topic. We at the NDERF have studied near-death experiences for more than 2 decades and have collaborated with many other experts in the field. Our research is based on more than 5,000 first-hand accounts from all corners of the world and from more than 20 languages. This presentation is to offer comfort and insight into the transition of life, based on this research and the personal accounts of near-death experiences of those previously mentioned.
Defining a near-death experience, or NDE.
So what is an NDE? Near-death experiences are profound psychological events that occur to people who are either close to death or in situations of intense life-threatening physical or emotional stress. These experiences often involve a range of common elements that are reported by individuals across more than 100 cultures and backgrounds, suggesting many universal aspects to the phenomenon, such as the following.
The out-of-body experience.
Many people report a sensation of leaving their physical body, often observing it from an external perspective. They may describe floating above their body and seeing medical personnel working on them, or being aware of details in the environment that they could not have known through their physical senses.
It was at that moment that I completely disconnected from everything that was external and outside of me. The people that were around me, the medical staff, the machines that I was hooked up to at that point. I had no connection to it. I lost the knowing that it was even there. And I was still experiencing some of the pain, but not to the same degree as I had been. And I started doing internal scan of my body. It felt like I was watching a movie. I could see the blood pumping. I could see my cells. I could see my internal organs. And it felt very factual. I didn't really have any emotion attached to it. And then I had that awareness of, I'm dying. This is what it feels like. And at that moment, I popped out of my body. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ceiling looking down at myself and everyone around me. And I could see that there was no life left in my body. I knew that that was me, but I didn't see me.
I was, of course, under anesthesia. Had been placed on my stomach so they could reopen my back. But while I was under anesthesia, suddenly my consciousness was out of my body and was up in a corner of the operating room, focused on ceiling tiles that were just a few inches away from my vision.
And so my husband gets there, and I'm sitting straight up in the bed looking up, and this horrible breathing noise, and he says to the doctor, he's like, "You need to do something. She's going to quit breathing." And the doctor says, "Oh, no, we've got plenty of time before that happens." And in my mind, it was really quick, but I think it was a few minutes, and everything just kind of started getting tunnely, and my hearing, everything seemed very far away, and then I just collapsed and quit breathing. And as soon as I did, I popped out of my body. And it was really strange because I was confused about what was going on, and I could see all the people coming in. I knew who ran the code on me. I knew who intubated me. And as they were pushing in, they were kind of pushing my husband out of the room. And I remember hearing the code call going off overhead and thinking, oh my goodness, somebody's really sick. And I was looking down at me in the bed, and I didn't know it was me. And I thought, wow, I hope she's okay. She looks like she's in really bad shape. And that was it. Everything kind of went black.
Feelings of peace and detachment.
A strong sense of calm, peace, and detachment from pain and fear is frequently reported. This feeling can be accompanied by a sense of profound well-being, love, and comfort, contrasting sharply with the traumatic circumstances that led to the NDE.
It's a beautiful state of mind to be in, but it's hard to explain. And I didn't feel like I was still Raymond. I was aware, but I wasn't Raymond. I was like a floating sphere of awareness. And I can only describe that feeling as a perpetual unfolding of now. It's like if I could light a candle and you're looking at the candle flame and it's just perpetually burning. It's right in that present moment, which is actually very liberating. It was wonderful. But because of that, I didn't remember the accident. There was no past. And also, there was no time, but there was no space either. And I can only describe this first part as a void. There was no light, there was no dark, there was no gravity, there was no sensations. It was just like nothing. So I'm here in this state of awareness, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I could still, I wouldn't call it thinking, because it wasn't words. Like when we have a dialogue going in our heads, it wasn't that. It was more like emotions. But I couldn't grab on. I had no reference point to anchor myself to know who I was, what was happening. And I didn't remember the accident, and it was a very chaotic feeling. And I started getting scared. And as the fear ramped up, it started getting kind of out of control. I felt like, okay, I'm losing it here. And then I came to kind of a realization that I've lost my mind. I'm going crazy. That's what's happening. I've gone crazy. And it kind of made sense to me. So the next thought I had, or emotion I had, I should say, was if I'm going crazy, if I've lost my mind, there's nothing I can do about it. And that was when I released. I just let go. And as I let go, the pleasurable sensations started there. Peace and tranquility and quiet and relaxation and contentment, those kinds of emotions. And then they started ramping up stronger and stronger and stronger to a state of utter bliss. It was so beautiful.
My name is Ingrid Honkala, and at the time of my near-death experience, I was living in Bogota, Colombia, where I grew up with my parents and my sisters. I was only 2 years old, near to 3 years old when the accident happened. I was born as a very sick child. I was ill all the time. I had respiratory problems. I was always sick. And now I was in a state of absolute well-being.
Seeing a bright light.
A common aspect of NDEs is encountering a bright, warm light, often described as being at the end of a long dark tunnel. This light is typically associated with feelings of love and acceptance, and some people interpret it as a representation of a divine presence, or the entrance to another realm.
In, again, just a flash, I appeared in a realm that was made of absolute, pure, bright light. And this is what makes this extremely hard to forget, and is that for the first time in these 3 years of my life, I felt that I was home.
Encountering deceased loved ones.
Many individuals report meeting deceased family members, friends, or other beings who may communicate with them through thoughts rather than spoken words. These encounters are usually described as reassuring and are often seen as a sign that the person is not alone in their journey.
On the opposite bank of this river, I began to see deceased relatives, my father, my brother who had died in a car accident, aunts and uncles who had passed away, 4 people that weren't familiar to me as far as how they looked, but I just knew they were the 4 grandparents who had all died before I was born. And they were welcoming me and being just so happy to see me, so glad that I was there.
So I'm calming down and everything, and I'm trying to figure out who she is. I know her. And I look up and I look at her face and I look at those blue-green eyes, and on the top of her head, she's got this red-orange hair that looks like fire on her head. And I immediately knew it was my grandmother. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my grandmother, my mom's mom. So there she was to greet me. And I remember looking at her and I said, with my mind, because you don't have to speak there, I said, oh my gosh, I thought you were dead. And she said, oh no, there's no death. You know this. And I'm like, no. And she says, yes, you know this. You learned this in school. And I'm thinking, when did they teach us there was no death? And I don't know what she's talking about.
Life review.
Some NDE experiencers describe a panoramic review of their life, where they re-experience significant events and moments, sometimes from the perspective of others involved. This life review is often accompanied by a deeper understanding of their actions and the impact they had on others.
And so my guide spoke again and said, we're going to look at your life and everything that has happened up until this time. And as he said it, it was as though a hologram appeared in the center of this conference table. It began showing everything that had happened throughout my life. And I began feeling as though I was reliving it all over again. Not just my own feelings and experience of it, but also being able to feel the person that I was interacting with and feel as though I were that other person. So it was an amazing experience. And I felt bad for things that I felt I could have done better, but all of the spiritual people who were there only radiated love and understanding to me and no sense of judgment.
I watched all the ripples, and on top of these ripples surprised me because I was starting to see almost like little videos or little scenes all across the surface of the pond. Like one video was an incident in my life where I had helped someone. Here is an incident in my early life where I had said something that inadvertently hurt someone. And so I was seeing all these different parts of my life. And when I focused on each of those little videos, I got sucked into it. It was like I was living that experience all over again. And I got to experience it not only from my standpoint, but also from the standpoint of the person I was interacting with. So it was like I got to see both sides of the story at the same time. I got to experience it.
And so the first thing he showed me was good, and he showed me myself in this grocery store, this little grocery store in this town we used to live in. And there was a lady ahead of me in line, and she didn't have enough money to pay. She was trying to figure out what to put back. And I was a single mom, you know, and 3 kids, and I'd been there, and she was so embarrassed. She's apologizing to the people in line, and I stood close to her, and I said, hey, here. And I took the money out of my purse, and I gave it to her, and she's like, no, that's okay. You don't have to do that. I'll just put this back. And She was going to put back the things that were for her. None of the things that I could see were for her family. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I know I've been in that spot. And I said, it's okay, take it, take the money. It's like change, you know? So she took it, and I'm like, wow, of all the good things I've done, that's it, that's the one, you know, it seems so minor. And then the scene expands, and it's years down the road, and I can see her in this, like a food closet, a food pantry sort of thing for people who don't have enough food. And this lady comes in, and the lady that I had helped in the grocery store is working behind the counter, and a woman comes in, and she's like, I'm just so embarrassed, we just don't have enough food. And the lady's like, it's okay. Gets me every time. It's okay, I've been there myself. You know, let me help you, don't feel bad.
A sense of returning or a choice.
Many who undergo NDEs describe reaching a point where they are given a choice to continue on or return to their physical body. Those who return often do so with a new perspective on life, feeling that their experience has profoundly changed them.
They then said, you can go back to your life, or you can stay here. But before you decide, we want to show you things that will happen if you go back to your life, or some things that may happen or may not, depending on another person's free will choices. He said to me that he wanted to show me the prayers that I had asked people to pray for me, that I would not lose my career and that I would not have to have the spinal fusion. And so he showed me off to the right, and I saw what looked like musical notes. My guide said that each one of those notes represented a different prayer. My guide said, I also want to show you what's happening in the hospital. And as he said that, it was as though I could see through a ceiling into the room where my husband and the kids had been waiting for me. And I also saw my husband standing in a doorway to this small room, and the doctor who had operated on me standing in his surgical clothes, speaking to my husband. And behind them, where my children were, I saw my daughter. I felt that she had been so scared that I was dying. And so she, along with the other prayers, prayed that I would live. And when she did pray that, my guide allowed me to feel all of my emotions of being her mother, of being my husband's wife, of being my son's mother, of being Karen, and feeling that I had to go back because I couldn't allow this to happen if I had a choice. So I did choose to go back to my life.
And I looked at him, and I knew I had to decide, you know, are you going to stay or are you going to go? And I was like, oh no, I'm staying. And everybody says that. They're like, oh yeah, you know, I wanted to stay. And it was my decision. But as soon as I said it, I knew it was wrong. I knew like I had made this decision a long time ago and that I needed to go back. And I started thinking about how I'd lived my life. So, you know, I was thinking, okay, I need to go back because I haven't lived yet. And so I decide to go back, and as soon as I make the decision, the light starts pulling back and I start pulling away, and I immediately become frantic, like shaking and crying, and God's like, you know, it's okay. And I said, wait. And so he stops, and I said, just let me remember it. Because I'm worried if I go back and I can't remember it, I'll lose all hope. And I wake up and I'm in this hospital room.
And somehow we told me, it's not your time, you have to go back. But it wasn't words. And I didn't really know what back meant. I didn't have any memory of the accident, but I knew that whatever was happening was like going to be something other than this intense, beautiful, blissful experience. You got to go back. And it was like, I just said, no, I am not going to go back. And I threw a temper tantrum. I did. I said, no way, I'm not going back. Then I was reassured. We reassured me that it's okay. You can come back anytime you want, anytime, once you've fulfilled your purpose.
Interpretation of NDEs
Let me say here that most of the elements of NDEs overlap the various sciences and belief systems being used to test the concept, and so we'll keep seeing the same element pop up over and over, regardless of which science or belief system you're approaching from. With that said, the interpretation of NDEs varies widely. Some people view them as evidence of an afterlife or a spiritual dimension, while others see them as the brain's response to extreme stress or lack of oxygen. Scientific explanations often focus on neurochemical and psychological factors, but the subjective nature of these experiences and their consistency across different cases has led to ongoing debates about their nature and significance. NDEs are powerful experiences that often lead individuals to reevaluate their lives, relationships, and beliefs, regardless of how they interpret the event itself.
Prevalence.
Near-death experiences are surprisingly common and have been reported by people all over the world for centuries. These are profound events that happen when someone comes close to dying or is in a situation where death seems likely. Despite differences in culture, religion, and language, many NDEs share similar themes, such as feelings of peace, seeing a bright light, or encountering loved ones who have passed away. Studies show that NDEs occur across all age groups, genders, and belief systems, which suggests they are a universal human experience. Ancient texts from cultures like ancient Egypt, Greece, and India describe experiences that closely resemble modern-day NDEs. These accounts show us that NDEs are not new or rare. They have been a part of human history for as long as we have been recording stories. Today, with advances in medical technology, more people survive life-threatening situations and share their NDEs, which helps researchers study them more closely. In fact, surveys suggest that between 5 and 15% of people worldwide have had an NDE. This shows that these experiences are not isolated events, but a significant part of the human experience, providing comfort and insights to many people across time and cultures.
The research.
Near-death experiences have fascinated scientists and professionals for decades, prompting extensive study by researchers, medical professionals, and psychologists. Here's a brief overview of how these experiences have been explored scientifically.
Early research and definitions.
Dr. Raymond Moody introduced the term near-death experience in 1975, based on hundreds of accounts from individuals who were close to death. His work set the stage for scientific inquiry into common NDE elements such as feelings of peace, out-of-body sensations, and encounters with light or deceased loved ones.
Current studies and findings.
Dr. Bruce Greyson developed the Greyson Scale, a tool used to measure and compare NDEs scientifically. His research highlights common patterns and the transformative effects of these experiences, such as diminished fear of death and a heightened sense of purpose. Dr. Pim van Lommel's groundbreaking studies on cardiac arrest survivors documented cases where patients reported vivid NDEs even while their brains were clinically inactive. Other researchers, including Dr. Sam Parnia, have used advanced imaging and physiological monitoring to explore brain activity during and after cardiac arrest, contributing to our understanding of consciousness and its potential independence from the brain.
Resources and data sharing.
Institutions like the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies continue to explore the implications of NDEs for consciousness studies. The Near-Death Experience Research Foundation collects first-hand accounts from individuals worldwide, providing an extensive database of NDEs. The site includes thousands of stories, helping researchers and the public understand the universality of these experiences. Visit the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation at nderf.org for more information and access to this global resource.
Cultural and psychological perspectives.
NDEs have been found to occur across cultures and belief systems, with variations influenced by personal and societal factors. Studies consistently show that NDEs often lead to profound life changes, including increased empathy, spirituality, and a decreased fear of death.
Broader implications.
Research on NDEs bridges disciplines from neuroscience and psychology to philosophy and spirituality, challenging our understanding of life, death, and consciousness. These studies are helping to build a more comprehensive picture of what it means to be human.
Common themes in NDEs.
One of the most striking aspects of near-death experiences is the profound sense of peace, liberation, and unconditional love that many individuals report.
I started to feel the light more and feel the energy of what that was. And I immediately felt this overwhelming sense of unconditional love. Love like I have never felt before. No matter what I had been through in my life, no matter what I had done, it was just complete love for me. I was bathing in it. It was wrapped around me, and it made me feel valued, appreciated, and accepted.
Because I didn't believe in any of this. I'm looking around thinking, I don't believe in this. Why am I here? And then surprisingly, there was an answer from outside, and which really shocked me. I didn't know that anybody else was with me in whatever this was. So I get this answer, and the answer was just, it was like it was all around me. And it was a voice that was very strong, but not loud, not really loud, but just really strong. And the voice said, welcome home. This is your home. You know, you're a part of us. You're a part of this. You know, you're a part of me. Welcome home. And I just lost it. I almost lose it like that every time I tell people about this, because it was just so moving and it was so welcoming, and I'd never felt, in my entire life, I'd never felt that welcomed anywhere. Not as much as I was being welcomed wherever this was that I was in now. And I could feel waves of peace coming like from outside of me, coming through me, I guess probably trying to keep me calm. And I felt waves of love, just pure unconditional love coming from somewhere else. And I'd never felt anything like that before, ever.
It was infinite love. I mean, that's a big word, infinite. It was so perfect and complete. It was like wave after wave of cleansing white love. And it was just utterly liberating. It was beautiful. It helps me to close my eyes. I can go kind of right there when I do it. It was so perfect.
These themes often appear across cultures and belief systems, suggesting a universal human experience.
Feelings of peace and liberation.
Many people describe an overwhelming sense of calm and freedom during their NDEs. This peace often contrasts sharply with the fear or pain they might have been feeling before the experience. For instance, some describe feeling as though they have been released from their physical bodies and the limitations of earthly life. This liberation is frequently accompanied by a sense of floating or being drawn toward a place of light or safety.
Messages of unconditional love.
One of the most commonly shared experiences is encountering a powerful sense of unconditional love. This love is often described as unlike anything experienced in daily life, boundless, non-judgmental, and pure. Individuals frequently report feeling deeply accepted and cherished, whether they encounter a divine being, a warm light, or deceased loved ones.
Universal messages.
Many who undergo NDEs return with profound insights or messages. Common themes include the importance of love, compassion, and connection with others. Some experiencers say they understand life's challenges in a new way, viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning.
I wanted to make stuff right with people when I came back. But it really, that for me, that whole experience of the life review was, I would say, the most impactful. That was the one thing that made me change as a person in a positive way when I came back, is just knowing how important everything that I say and do is, to other people. So that was really the big catalyst for my change when I came back here. I'd love to be able to to give that gift to everybody. I know you can't do that here while we're all still alive, but I wish I could, because it's so transformative for so many of us. And to me now, death is just not a big deal. It's another transition that we all go through. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're here while we're here to do our thing, and then when our time is done, we just move on. And I'm not afraid of that anymore. I'll be here doing my thing until it's my time to go, and then I'll be gone.
I think a lot of people who are watching these videos are in grief. They've lost someone they love, and they're trying to piece it together. What is the afterlife? Is there such thing? Is my dad still here? And I've been through it too. I mean, it hurts when I lose someone that I love. It's just part of being human. And I've grown really comfortable with just saying, I don't know. I don't really know. I can tell you what happened. I can tell you what I got out of it. But I don't really need any answers anymore. I don't.
Cultural universality.
Despite differences in how these themes are described, influenced by personal beliefs or cultural contexts, the emotions of peace, liberation, and love remain consistent across accounts. Researchers like Dr. Bruce Greyson and organizations like the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation have documented thousands of these accounts, which often carry these themes. These feelings and messages not only comfort the experiencers, but also inspire others, fostering hope and a deeper appreciation for life and its connections.
In summary,
most people who've had a NDE share findings that many NDEs report a profound sense of peace, love, and acceptance, which often leads to a shift in how individuals view death. Discuss the frequent reports of encountering a warm, embracing light that is often interpreted as a guiding or loving presence. Talk about the comforting aspect of reuniting with deceased loved ones, which is a common theme in NDEs, suggesting that death is not the end of relationships. Explain the concept of a life review, where individuals see their lives in a non-judgmental way, often leading to a deeper understanding of their life's meaning and purpose. Mention that many NDE experiencers report being given a choice to return to life, often feeling that their time is not yet complete, which indicates a sense of agency, even in the process of dying.
embracing the transition.
As we navigate the journey of saying goodbye to a loved one, it's natural to feel the weight of sorrow, uncertainty, and even fear. But the stories of near-death experiences offer a profound source of hope, one that speaks to the possibility that love does not end and consciousness may continue beyond this life. While we may not have all the answers, the testimonies of those who have glimpsed something beyond this world remind us that death may not be an end, but a transition, a doorway to something beautiful, peaceful, and filled with love. I encourage you to explore these stories further. Websites like the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, NDERF.org, provide a wealth of first-hand accounts that may bring comfort and reassurance during this difficult time. You are not alone in your grief, and there is hope in the possibility that your loved one's journey continues in ways we cannot yet fully understand. Thank you for allowing me to share this time with you. May you find peace in the love that never fades, in the memories that forever remain, and in the possibility that we will one day be reunited. Godspeed.
Thank you for being here. For decades, people from all backgrounds and beliefs have shared near-death experiences that describe something beautiful: peace instead of terror, connection instead of abandonment, love instead of fear. If you're walking through illness, grief, or transition, please know you're part of something much larger than this moment. There is support available, there is compassion, and there is hope. May what you've heard today remind you that life does not end with loss, and that love, in many ways, continues. You are not alone.